Hi, dear Odooers. My name is Benjamin Stienon, and I am product owner for accounting and localization at Odoo. Today, we are going to talk about accounting and localizations. Marcelo, are you ready to dive into these specific details? I apologize, it will probably not be an easy one.
Hello, Benjamin. I'm ready. I brought my pillow here, so if I fall asleep, I won't hit my head in the counter. But I count on you to not making that happen.
I'll do my best, but I must confess that today we are going to talk about taxes, taxes and taxes. So I will keep things as simple as I can, and I really thank you for remaining attentive. Don't hesitate to interrupt.
Okay, so just to point out here, our fiscal localization packages, they contain three modules. The first one is what Benjamin is going to explain right now about the taxes, chart of accounts, and everything standard and already uploaded on Odoo. The second one is about reporting, which has the reports that your country needs for declaration and management. The third one is the EDI, Electronic Document Interchange, and this makes a connection between Odoo and the government to make sure that your documents are valid. These features are available on the Enterprise edition, and you can have more information on the documentations that we have on our website. Now it's with you, Benji.
As some of you may know, our tax authorities had the good idea to complexify things and simplify them at the same time. So from now on, from July 2021, when you have a business and this business is selling goods to individuals, like B2C sales, namely, the tax is due in the country of delivery. So you are supposed, as a business owner, to pay taxes in, let's say, France, Germany, Hungary, Italy, in all those places. So this is the complexity. The nice gift that we receive from the tax authorities is the one single stop shop. So in one place, you can choose the country, your own country, basically, and you can declare VAT in your own country, even if it's foreign VAT. At Odoo, we wanted to help our users facing this new regulation, and we have just a single setting in accounting that you can activate. And doing so, Odoo will pre-populate for you the fiscal positions, it will create the taxes and so on in a clever way so that the taxes will affect your own chart of account, but basically will detect that they are applicable in a foreign country so that the rate differs.
Uh, Benja, I have a question. A friend of a friend asked me to ask you. He has a company, and his supplier was not performing very well, and he actually bought the supplier, but he was in a different country, and now he has to declare two types of taxes reports and everything. And because of the cash pressure, he's a little bit annoyed by that. How does Odoo V15 can help us with that?
That's a good point, and that's a new feature we cover at Odoo in V15. It's about the tax units. So when you have, as you say, Marcelo, multiple companies, it can be two, it can be more, that together send invoices to each other, and each time there is VAT, it can lead to cash pressure, and the money is always payable to the authorities long before you can claim it back. So company A is paying, and then 3 months later, maybe, company B will, in the good cases, receive the money back. We kept things very simple at Odoo, and on the company level, you can specify which tax unit the company belongs to. A tax unit can be composed of two or more companies, and the tax unit has a representative. One of the components of the tax unit is the representative, and the tax unit has a tax ID number. So for future settlements to the authorities, the settlements will be done on this tax ID, and in Odoo, in the user interface, you have the possibility to filter your tax report based on the tax unit. So you have the figures of all the components of the tax unit brought together in one single report. and the XML file you might want to send to the authorities, for example, will also be grouped for all these companies together. You don't need to do anything out of Odoo. The need is covered. A new feature that we added is also about foreign taxes, like OSS taxes, but it's more when you have a warehouse somewhere in a foreign country. At that moment, you may, nevertheless OSS exists, you may be required to have a tax identification in the foreign country. We covered that case in Odoo. On the fiscal positions, you can set for a country, for a specific country, a foreign tax ID, like in the example I give. Country would be France. There would be a French tax ID. Odoo will help you create and pre-populate all these tax mappings, the taxes of the foreign country, in a clever way, so that the taxes will affect your national accounts. It will create new accounts in the chart of accounts without you having to do anything. But it will use the tax grids of the foreign settlement you have to submit to the foreign authorities. As you can see on the tax report, here in the selector, you have the possibility to see either your national, here it was Belgium, the national tax report, or the foreign tax reports, and you can have as many foreign tax reports as you would have tax identifications. Like if you have 5 warehouses in 5 different countries, you may have 5 different national tax reports, 1 national, 1 domestic one, and 4 foreign ones. I didn't take the example of France without any good reasons. It allows me to make a transition to the new feature that we call the tax carryover. In specific countries, France, Italy, Belgium, amounts are sometimes carried over from one tax period to the next, and in Odoo, we do cover that case. On the tax report itself, the logic behind the scenes is already implemented in the localization. If there is a new amount that needs to be carried over from one period to the next, it will appear on the report, and you can, like in this example, you can audit and understand the reasons why the carryover happens. I hope you are still with me, Marcelo, and I still have something to tell. One of the nicest new feature we bring in V15 is answering specific needs that we heard from all over the world. It can be Latin America, it can be Middle East countries, it can be Asia, European countries. Our users, all face trouble with the withholding taxes. At Odoo, we wanted to make things very simple, and basically we add on the tax group a string, a field, it's a string, that is called preceding subtotal. This string, you use it if needed, it's not mandatory, of course, will allow you on the tax widget of an invoice to spread the amounts and to have the details explaining what are the subtotals on which a tax is applied, or at what moment on my invoice should it be applied, so that the tax turnover and the tax amount are much more readable for the users. It can be you when you edit the invoice. It can be your client when you send the invoice to his attention. How does it work in Odoo? For the withholding tax, so it's an amount that you will not pay to your supplier because you are required to pay that amount to the tax authorities. It's easy. You just mention a negative amount on the taxes, and it will affect the widget behind, as we will see in the next slides. But it's not the only new feature that I want to draw your attention on. We also allow taxes, when they appear in a sequence of taxes, we also want to allow a tax to refuse being affected by the previous ones. As we will see in the coming slides, sometimes the breakdowns can become very complex. And for these use cases, you might need to have taxes that affect the next ones, but one of the next ones coming should refuse because of legal reasons. It should refuse being affected. That's why I highlight here this new field that will cover needs specifically for Indians that brought this feedback to our attention. This is the tax group. You see here an example of string, very open, very flexible, that we allow you to do. How will it happen on the tax widget? You have a breakdown between the untaxed amount and the total. You have the possibility to highlight subtotals that are necessary.
And this is standard in V15 now? That's amazing.
This is standard. Absolutely, this is standard. You use it or not. It is not mandatory. Use cases, simple use cases will not be affected. But for the more complex ones, the ones implementing, I don't know, récupéré taxes, withholding taxes, if you have specific discount management to do, this feature now answers all these needs. Here, I offer you to see one specific breakdown that I imagined, and you can highlight the récupéré amount, you can see the discount amount, what will be the turnover, the VAT turnover before VAT impacts this amount. And we also identified that this specific need here, this specific new feature that is called withholding, actually, it will help our users in Belgium deal with the discount management. As you may know, sometimes the discount, whether or not it is granted, is or is not affecting the tax turnover, the tax amount. All the use cases that we happen to know about are now covered easily with this new feature, which is a very nice one. Now, Marcelo, I see that you are still awake, and I really want to thank you for that. I even have a gift for you.
Which is the gift?
Bank synchronization. As you may know, our users ask a lot of time for synchronization, fetching the transactions at the bank, and improving the speed of having proper figures in their accounting. We identified providers that we integrated with Odoo, and these providers help us have a better coverage for the financial institutions worldwide. It's for the Nordic countries in Europe. We use Enable Banking as a partner. We have Saltage as a provider as well that is added for European countries. But Saltage also offers a second API that covers the needs worldwide, not only EU. So basically, it will spreaden the presence of all these financial institutions, and we gather more and more information thanks to these new integrations. It's time for me to thank you for your attention in this maybe complex talk. I hope it was not too much into the details about taxes. And well, if you have any questions that I would not have answered yet, don't hesitate to stay with me for the Q&A sessions. It will be a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, Ben, this talk was amazing. We learned so many things, and I see that there were so many changes in localizations this year. So I guess we have a few questions already. So if you don't mind, let's jump in right away. We've had a question about the Spanish localization. Were there so many changes with it?
Yes, so thanks, Eva. Indeed, the localization in Spain was one of our key improvements for the version 15. As you may know, in Spain, there was missing a feature for invoicing. which is the SII. Well, we call it SII. It's the immediate submission of information about VAT in the country. So users are supposed, when they invoice to a customer, to declare the VAT on the invoice to the authorities within the 4 days. And for the vendor bills, there is also a delay, but it's a bit longer. And in Odoo, we developed it standard so that the Spanish users can benefit from the SII version from Odoo. And this feature is available in community version because it must be usable with invoicing only. So it's an open version of the Spanish SII that we just released. You can enjoy it.
Cool. Is there also something I heard there was a new regulation for specific regions in Spain that's called ticket buy? Is there
Indeed.
something?
As far as I know, ticket buy is for specific area in Spain, in the northern part of Spain, like 3 or 4 regions, departments. I don't know the exact word. And this regulation enters into force in 2022. So we didn't develop it yet, but it's in the pipe.
Okay, good to know. Great. I'm sure that's something the Spanish users would be more than happy to hear about, especially this SII, because as consultants, we hear every time about it with our projects. So super good news. What about the Slovakia localization? Is there something new?
Thanks to a partner, we developed 2 localizations in Eastern Europe. It's Slovakia and Czech Republic. So we have there now the chart of account and the taxes that are available out of the box in Odoo, thanks to this partner.
Cool. So it happens often that we work with partners to have some intel from them.
Yes, indeed, because of language subtleties, or because, well, they are out of the country and they know better than we do. Technically or functionally speaking, we can help. We can easily improve the localizations or build the localizations. But we go even further when there is a partner involved. And for localization to be developed fast, the best solution is to be built on official documentation. So each time there is a request, but that there is no documentation, then we might be less efficient because we have to do the work ourselves. So the more the partner is involved providing functional information, the exact codes, what it should do, the better. It's not necessary to have a deep understanding of how it works technically. So partners that are more into a functional approach are very welcome to help because, well, technically we can do it. It's functionally speaking that we want localizations to be accurate and to be, well, to work out of the box for users that just need a solution.
Cool, cool, good to know. I have another question, which is a bit more generic. So it happens, you know, in the daily business of a company, they have to make payments that are not really related to a supplier. For example, when they have to pay their taxes to the fiscal organization, and sometimes, you know, it's a bit tricky to differentiate the good payables or good receivables. Is there something new about that?
Indeed. What we developed here and now for the V15 solution is a way for you to consider VAT, well, the tax authorities, let's say, as a partner like any other partner. So on the partner form view, you have a tab, accounting, in which you have 2 accounts that are specified, accounts receivable, accounts payable, because you can either claim money back from the tax authorities or you have to pay it. So both scenarios happen. What we suggest you to do is on the partners form view to specify accounts that are, well, the ones of your chart of accounts you need, and to consider those accounts like receivable type or payable type. But then you don't want your partner ledger, your age receivable, age payable reports to be affected. And there is now on each account a checkbox that you can set or unset, saying, okay, this partner, like tax authority, I want to consider it a payable account, but I don't want my age reports to be affected, I will check this checkbox or uncheck, I don't remember, saying I will exclude it from the reports. And so, well, it behaves like a payable. You can make a payment to them from Odoo, but well, it's not a customer, it's not a supplier, it's different.
Okay, well, that's also good news, and it's interesting to see. Always nice to see a differentiation in our accounting regarding those specific types of payments. There were also so many changes about taxes actually in version 15, and especially with the withholding tax feature. And there was actually a question, which is there a version where withholding tax is computed or recognized during payment and not upon customer invoice or vendor bills? And that actually concerns Philippines.
In Odoo, we consider at the moment, based on the feedbacks we received, we consider that the important thing to know is at the moment you post your invoice, you want to make sure that later on, or because there is another colleague that will be in charge of the payments, you want to make sure that at the moment of the payment, the proper amount will be paid. So we do treat the withholding tax as a negative tax amount on the tax itself that you can compute on the invoice, and then your total amount will be exactly what you owe to the partner, so or what your partner owes you. So the total amount of the invoice is withholding tax deducted on the invoice. The question of the payment, to me, is not exactly relevant, or we don't feel it exactly relevant because of that. On the payment, it might be too late. And since Odoo is really about collaboration between people, what we want to do is make sure that the information, what is really due to the partners, is valid at the moment of the payment. And we consider that, well, it can be a department. Some people are in charge of booking the invoices, posting the invoices. Other people are in charge of the payment. And this collaboration was very important on the invoice itself. So this is what we developed as withholding feature in accounting V15.
Okay, great details. Thank you. It's actually much clearer. I also heard that there were so many changes with Italy, and especially electronic invoicing, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. Italy was one of the key countries we needed to make developments for, and we developed multiple things actually. We developed the DDT, so the transportation document, which is a real feature needed in Italy. We had a lot of feedbacks about that, so now it is released. And we released as well the EDI, so the electronic data interchange, and you can now communicate and send your invoices from Odoo directly to the system, which is called SDI Co-op. So the format is correct, and the connection from Odoo to the tax authorities in Italy is done as well.
Well, that's actually great news, because it was really something withholding our clients to choose to purchase the accounting application in Italy, because they had no possible workaround to comply to the Italian regulations. There were also something about Australia, am I right?
Yes, in Australia we have a cool feature now, a cool development, which is an integration between KeyPay and Odoo. It's very specific for this country, but as far as we can see, most or all the businesses work with the same provider, which is KeyPay for the payroll. And it was a lot of work for the users to retrieve the information from KeyPay and then have them correct in Odoo. And basically, it was so easy to automatize that we did it. And now we have this integration between those two systems for that country.
Okay, nice, good to know. If I remember well, we also had in the key objectives of the localization working on Scandinavia. Is there any news?
Yes, in Scandinavia we have, in Norway we have. I might forget things, so never hesitate to double check or to ask me any question. But we have the Norwegian financial reports, so balance sheet and P&L out of the box in Odoo. We also had a key feedback about the bank synchronization in those countries because the providers we are working with were less performant in those countries. So we have now a partnership with Enable Banking that is covering the area and helping us provide a better coverage in Norway, Sweden, Finland. And as far as I know, we are pretty much about to deliver the Finnish financial reports as well.
Good. I'm glad you asked about financial reports because so with localization comes, of course, all the country-specific financial reports that we know, and sometimes it's difficult to for us as integrators to be sure that these are compliant with the country's regulations. So, is there something that could help the users make sure that based on their reports everything is correct?
So what I like in Odoo is that it's very open. So the user has hands-on, and if he needs, either we can help or a partner can help. But basically, we had feedbacks about our financial reports saying that sometimes when an account is created, then it didn't appear in the financial reports properly, or it didn't appear at all. So we developed a debug feature that is available in debug mode, only in debug mode, and you can easily track if your financial report is correct by selecting some financial report lines, some nodes that you would like to make sure that all the accounts belonging to it are correct.
Perfect. Sorry, I'm gonna have to stop you there because our time is up. If you have any more questions, you can join Benjamin in the Jitsi meeting that is available in the chat.
Thank you.